Okay, hello guys. So let's figure out how we are going to. We want to virtualize the PFSense router. Okay, pin to taskbar. Okay. So in installation of PFSense in a virtual environment, and I'm using Oracle VirtualBox. So I'll just give it a name. I'll call it firewall. Just call it PFSense firewall. Okay, router, and then it's a BSD. And the one I'm installing is a free BSD64, but I'm gonna pick. You can actually pick any one of these. Okay, if you select the minimum specification, it's gonna work out fine. Okay, 64 version, but you have to make sure you selected the right version, whether it's a 64 version or 32. I'm using the 64. Okay, so I'm gonna use just half a gig for it, and it's gonna work. It's gonna work fine. Hit on the next key. PFSense needs just a minimum of 5 gig. Just 5 gig will work fine for it, since we are not going to do any heavy installation. But let me just give it 10. Okay, so the next thing you would want to do is that since we want the PFSense to be giving out IPs to every single thing that's here, and you know it's a router software, so we need to give it 2 network adapters. Okay, so if you come to network here, the first adapter is NAT. That means it will be doing its network address translation. The second one we need to be enabled, and we need to select internal. Okay, all right, so everything is fine, and then we need to come to storage. Now we want to insert the PFSense image file, so you click on empty, you click on the drop down, and you go to choose this file. Now I'm looking for where the PFSense is, so this is the PFSense, and make sure that's the ISO file. Okay, double click it. Okay, and then we can begin to run the PFSense. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to finish installation. Okay, so just hit the next key or the enter key, install, hit on install, and this one, make sure you've selected the second one, that is the guided disk setup using the BIOS boot mode. Hit enter again, and depending on how fast your processor and your RAM size is, it is going to finish processing with your processor. So okay, so it's done, installation is finished. Just hit on enter. Okay, so you can see it's in a continuous loop. It's recurring. It's starting again. Okay, so what you want to do is to end it. So you can come to device, So you can come to machine and go to shutdown, or you can just close it. Click here and go to power off machine. Okay, I'm going to use this option. So I'm going to go to shutdown. All right, so once it's done shutting down, now I can eject the CD. So right click it, go to settings, click on storage. You can see the CD is still inside it. So click on it and come to remove, either here or you can hit on the drop down and go to remove this image. I just want this one quicker. So remove OK it, and then now you can boot your router, okay, your PSN, your virtual router. You can actually install this on your main PC too as well, so that your PC is no longer a Windows PC, but it's now a router. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we need at least we need a server and then we need at least one virtual. Okay, I've installed server 2019, so I'm going to use that. And you make sure that all the devices here are on internal network. It doesn't need two network adapters, just one. Okay, with the exception of the PFSense, that is the router software. Okay, so if I click here, I come to settings, I make sure that this network adapter is on internal network. Okay, and another thing that you need to know, it doesn't need two network adapters. Okay, I just need one. Okay, so another thing that you would want to do is, another thing you would want to check, come to general, move to advanced. You see this side that says shared clipboard and then another side that says drag and drop. If you want to drag and drop something from your main host to the virtual, you would want to enable this. And if you want to copy and drop too as well, just enable this, put this on bi-directional, right? So once we have this checked, everything is checked. Okay, it's this actually the server 2022. Just go to start. This is my server, and then I'm going to boot Windows or execution machine running into a non-fatal describe, which is that you take appropriate action to prevent it. Okay. Details. Let's look at the error. So it's being ignored. Please try now. Okay, that's fine. Okay, this guy here. So it's booted up. I'm going to boot how do you call it, 8 side by side, so that we will disable DHCP here, and we will want the server to be given IPs on the network. Okay, so this is going to be my Windows 7 or Windows 8. I'm going to use Windows 8.1, which works the same. Maybe I might power this on. Okay, but if your PC can't take that, please don't power all of them the same time. Okay, my PC can take that. Okay, so this network adapter equally needs to be on internal network. So I come here, change it on internal network, it's on OK, and then I run. I can equally change this to as well. Okay, if I want to be able to drag and drop from my host to my virtual, bi-directional, share clipboard. Okay, this guy here. Now I can put it. Let's see if my PC can take 1, 2, 3, and maybe I'll add a fourth one too as well. So once it's done, I just come here, come to view. I would have to press Ctrl or Delete, but since this is a virtual, I'd have to insert this keyboard through Ctrl Alt Delete. Come to input, keyboard, and then hit on what, insert, Ctrl Delete. So once I have that, I'm in. I enter my password. Let me make it big. Okay, my server is booting. Let me check. My Windows 8.1 is equally booting. Okay, so let me check and see if my, okay, so my router is on. As you can see, this is the this is the one that is for going out, and this is the LAN for the internal. So this is the subnet mask. This is the default gateway of the router. Okay, so I'm gonna this one, I'm going to minimize this. And my Windows 8.1 wants me to sign into the internet. Let me skip. Okay. I hope it doesn't ask me. And I'm going to give it a name. Just give it animal support. Let's see. Use Express. Checking your internet connection. Yeah. Wait, please. Yeah, then if we go figure time for Google, how they call you. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, it requires that I sign in because I have internet and I'm sharing. The internet is going through here and I'm sharing it, but I don't want that. Okay, I want to create a local one, so I'm going to give it a name of support. Just like if you setting up your PC for the first time. I'm not going to give it any password. It says support can be a username. Choose a different username if it can be. Alright, so I'm going to use help desk. Let's see. Okay, so it's working just fine. So let's check our server if it's done. Okay, so our server is done. Let's see if it's getting an IP from uh, our router. Okay, so IP config. Let's see. Okay, so 192.168. That means it's getting an IP from our router. All right, so yeah, you can equally use this to manage your software to manage your server. Okay, by hitting this, you just go to the admin center, you download and you use it to manage it. But we want to use it here. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, the screen is not fitted. I mean, to the entire page. If you want that, you would have to install the guest image. So I come to guest image. Yeah. Come up here. Once you insert it, it's going to show down here. Just double click it. And then go to the next key. If this doesn't pop up, okay, if this doesn't pop up, and then when you click on it, it gives you this. Sometimes when you click, it doesn't show this. It will actually bring this up. Okay, make sure you selected the 64-bit if you are using a 64-bit and 32 if you are using 86 if you are using 32-bit operating system. I'm going to hit on install this one too as well. Okay, so it says reboot, but I don't want to reboot yet, so I'll click this place, go to finish. That's fine. And I can come here, and if I want to eject the virtual, I just right click and go to eject. Okay, before I reboot. Yeah, so let's check out Windows 8.1. It's still loading. Says let's start. Okay, so our Windows 8.1 is also up. Let's go to CMD again and see the IP we are getting. You want to just because so let's check the IP if you are getting an IP from yeah, so our IP is 192.168.1.1. That is the gateway, and our IP is 101. So we can quickly check that of the how do you call it? That of the server, to see if you're on the same network as the server. So come here. So the server is 100. So let's try to ping the Windows. So 192.168. I think it was, yeah, one dot. The Windows was 101. Let's check that. See if you get a reply. Okay. So if ping is not disabled on the Windows 8.1, then it should work fine for us. Okay. So we can equally ping the server's IP, which is 192.168.1.100. Let's see if it's online. And again, if it's not blocked, don't let it work just for us. Okay, so Windows 8.1 is acting as a bunch of files. Let's just close it. So this is our router's IP 192.168.1.1. Let's see if you can get access to it. Okay, so we are in. So this guy here. Yes. So let's check admin, and then that's the default username and password for pfSense admin, and then pfSense. Okay, so everything is working fine. Okay, great. Let's see. I hope you can see we are getting a reply from our the Windows 8.1, because the Windows 8.1's IP was 100. It's a little slow, but so we can equally ping the router to see if it's online. So ping the router's IP 192.168.1.1. Sorry, the 1.1, which should work just fine for us. Okay, so the server. Let's start with the server. It's pinging, but I'm going to close this. PC is getting a little slower because I'm running a lot of virtuals at the same time. 3 of them. So I don't want to add another one. Alright, so this is our outer interface. Nice one. Okay, ping is disabled. So I'm good. Alright, so again, if you want this Windows to fit to the screen, all we have to do is just come here, insert the guest image. If it doesn't pop up, just come to the File Explorer, Windows E, short key. Okay, you just double click. Okay, so it's popped up. Double click to install. Come back, hit on the next key, stop. Okay, so then after rebooting, it should fit to our screen just fine. Nice. It's installing the driver. As it says reboot. Should we reboot? We don't really need to do anything here. Let's just reboot. So while this is rebooting, let's start with our server administration. Okay, so we are getting a reply from our router. Okay, so close this guy here for now. So the housekeeping works that we need to do on the server again is to check the date and time. Okay, to meet the current date and time, because the Windows, every single host on the machine will be taking IPs. If this is going to be our domain controller, they are going to be taking services from this server. Okay, so just right click it, go to date and time, change date and time, make sure you are using the current one. It's taking a little while to load. Okay, it's up. This is about 2022. Okay, so the interface might be different from yours. It's still the same. Just work your way up. Okay. Let's see. Okay, change date and time. It's still taking a while to load. Alright, so So it says 5:59. My actual time is 12. So this is wrong. You're going to change it to UTC, and it depends on where you are in the world. Okay. We are in Ghana, so we are going to use Universal Coordinated Time. Okay. Coordinated Universal Time. UTC, CUT. Well, it is written UTC, Coordinated Universal. I'll just click on it here. You make sure. Let's try to sync with Microsoft Server. Let's see what we get. Sync now. Server is slowing down. Okay, Windows 8.1 is booted up. Let's just maintain this before we switch. Alright. Okay, the drivers are up. Server. So the next thing that you want, as you can see, it's months before day, the day. So if you want to change that to, you can just click. Okay, so now it's 1 sync. So let's change here. Hit on change. Let's check date format. Change the date format to, as you can see, day, month, and year. Click on this guy here, and we are done. 13th April 2022. 101. Okay, awesome. So the next few things that we need to, housekeeping works that we need to do is to come here. Local server. Yes, by default, Windows will generate a computer name for you. You would want to change it. You have to change it actually, alright, to give it a right computer name. So if you are remote, and you can actually use the computer name for it. So I come to change here. I want to give my server a name of server. Hit on OK. Okay, from here, close. I need to restart before. Okay, but I'm not going to hit on restart now. I'm going to hit on restart later. The next thing that I want to do is to enable remote desktop. Okay, so for wherever I am, I should be able to remote into my server on the network. Okay, so it's disabled by default. I'm going to hit on disabled and change it to enable. Right. Allow, hit on OK to add it to the firewall rule. Apply. Okay, so remote desktop is enabled. The next thing that I want to do is that this is going to be my server. So there's a need for me to give it a static IP. So I'll just come to Ethernet here and then change the IP to a static one. Because if the device is taking services from the server IP, if the server keeps on changing its IP, then it's going to be hard for the devices to see it. So I just press on this guy here. It's loading. Okay. Let's minimize this. Okay, so this is the Ethernet part. So we right click it. We need to give it a static IP within the same network as the router. Okay. Right click it. Not disable. Right click, go to properties. Let's see if our Windows 8.1 is up. Oh, she's up. So wait for it to load. PC is slowing down a little, but to do just fine. This shouldn't usually take a long time. Okay, I think my Windows 8.1 is 18 space. A lot of runs memory is making this slow. But let's wait for it. On. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Got it. Okay. You start column again. Me to the column. Right. Okay, so we need to go to IP version 4. Give it a static IP 192.168.1. The router's IP was .1, so we can give this .2 or .254, whichever IP that you want to reserve for your server. So I'm going to give it an IP of .2, and then the gateway. What is the router's gateway? .1.1. That is our router's gateway. And then since this server is going to be doing DNS, this same server, we need to maintain this .2. Okay, locally. So .2. Okay, wait for it to load. Okay, let's check this out. Okay, so if you don't want to receive an IP version 6, you just check this so that you don't get an IP version 6. Doesn't force you to get an IP. Alright, so once you are done with this housekeeping works with the server, now we can restart. Then we will install the services. So from here, hit on the power button, hit on reset, restart, continue, restart. So the services that we will be installing on the server is Active Directory domain services, DHCP and DNS. Okay, our server will be a domain controller so that our Windows 8.1 will be connected to it. So our server will be controlling the Windows 8.1. Yeah. Okay, so it's done restart and give input, Control Alt Delete. Wait for it to load. Okay. view virtual screen unscaled. Let me see if it does turn. Not too good. Okay, so our server is up. Now we need to install the services. Okay, if it's done, if it's still not booted, the server manager is not, then you see that yellow blue sign. But if it's done booting, this is what you get. So the services that we'll be installing on the server here will be ADDS Active Directory. You can click on Add Rules and Features, or just come up here and hit on Add Rules and Features. I'm coming up here. So Add Rules and Features, you go to the next key. You can read them. We are doing a rule-based, and it explains here. Configure a single server by adding rules and features. All right. The second one is for virtual desktop infrastructure. All right. So we hit on the next key. Yes, as you can see, it has picked our IP, the static IP that we used, and the server name. Okay, and this is the server that we installed, data center with desktop experience. Hit on the next key again. The services are Active Directory. So the second one, Active Directory domain services, ADDS. Hit on the add key, DHCP, add key again, DNS, add key again. Okay, these are the services that we need here. All right. So for a basic server administration, you should know all of this. Okay, the ones that I've checked. If you want to go to the advanced, then you can learn about the rest of them. So I hit on the next key again, next key, next key, next key. It explains everything from what the Active Directory does, DHCP does, DNS. Okay, so I just come to the next thing and I hit on what they install. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video. It usually takes a while, depends on how fast your PC is. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video and come back when the installation is successful, so that the video doesn't become very lengthy. Already, I think we are in 32 minutes. I'm gonna pause it right here and come back when it's done. Okay. Welcome back, guys. So a configuration required installation succeeded on server. This is what you get when you are done. Hit on close. So now we want to start configuring the services that we installed. As you can see here, we have ADDS, we have DHCP, and we have DNS. So just click on this caution or this drop down, the flag here, notification here. Click on it. Click on complete DHCP configuration. Click on commit, you can read them. They all make sense. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to promote our domain. Okay, our server is going to be our domain controller. So we click on the notification again, or you can just click here too as well. But if you click on the notification or the flag here, just click on promote this server to a domain controller. So click on it. If it doesn't pop up, it's usually down here. So you can just check down here and then just click. Okay, so what we are doing is we are not adding, we've not created any server, we are not adding this to any existing domain. Okay, we are creating a new one. So you would want to click on add a new forest, then the name of the root domain. So if you are setting up a domain controller for a company, you would want to use the company name for it. So Admintelecom, for instance, I can put Admintelecom local. I hope you get it. It's because this is not on the internet, but you can equally put .com or .gh here or whatever country you are in. You can just put it there. It's going to work fine. But to be professional, this is local and it's not on the internet. So typing the local makes you professional. So I'm going to hit on the next key again. Okay, yeah, so with the forest functional level, there's a lot of them you can read online, but basically you would have a lot of servers on if you are working with a data center. This is not just going to be the domain controller that we are going to be using, or the server that is on the network. So some of the servers may be old, so you need to reduce this. Let's say if I have a 2008 server, I need to reduce it so that this server can support it. Other than that, you can't run it side by side with it. Okay, Okay, 1 second. So this real quick. All right, so let's continue. All right, so this is the domain functional level. The domains on it too as well. You want to, yeah, check that out. Okay, so this is the most important part. Okay, for recovery, if you want to recovery the directory services restore mode, this is the password that you need. Okay, so make sure you enter a strong password and you document it down. Okay, enter a strong password and then document down. All right, so hit on the next key again. You should see the name of your domain coming up here. Okay, Admintelecom, that's true. Hit on the next key. Hit on the next again. Next. Install. Okay, so after the installation is done, it's going to restart because this server is going to be a domain controller. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and come back when the installation is complete. So you're about to be signed out, so yeah, it just restarts, and after the restart, the computer is now a domain controller. The server is now a domain controller. still applying changes. Let me just pause this and then come back when it's done. Welcome back. It's now applying, so let's enter our server. You can see our domain. Okay, so it's now join. Sorry, 3. So now let's configure the services. Okay. Let's configure the services. First of all, you do DHCP DNS, and then when we're done, now we come and touch on the Active Directory, and then we join all PCs on the network to a domain controller, so that users can use their username and passwords to log in. Okay, so it's still loading. Just wait for it to finish. So now you see the services here. Alright, let's make sure everything is up. Windows 8.1 is up. Let's see if you can get access to server. If it's not blocked, ping is not blocked on the server, let's do a continuous ping 192.168.1.2. That was our server's IP. You can see we are getting a reply. And let's ping our router too to see if we are getting a reply. Yeah, we are equally getting a reply from our router. We use .2 for it. So let's go to the server. Okay, the services are up. So now let's go to the DNS. Okay, our server is online. So what you want to do is I'll just click on DNS, come to the server, right click it and go to DNS manager. Okay, this is our server. Double click it to open up. Yes, and then click on this arrow. So the forward lookup zone, click it again for it to open up the forward lookup zone, and then the reverse lookup zone. As you can see, there's no reverse lookup zone. Okay, so if you want to look up the server, so open command again, cmd. Let me just ping it to, let me pin it to taskbar. All right, so if we should ns look up the server, we should get the IP, and if we ns look up the IP, we should get the domain. Okay, it's the same thing that is done online. Okay, if you are looking for the IP, you should get it just by looking out for the domain, and the domain should give you the IP. So ns lookup, let's try this. What was the IP of our server? 192.168.1.2. Okay, if we ns lookup this, it should give us the ns lookup. Okay, so actually it says localhost can't find one. It doesn't exist, but let's look up the domain. And let's look up the domain, which is Admintelecom the local. All right, they should give us. So you see, when we look up the Admintelecom, it is telling us that it is local. We are actually on the same machine. So if we let's look up the domain, we are getting the IP. But if we do the vice versa, that is, if you look up this, it's not working. By default, when you set up the Active Directory, if we promote a computer to the domain, it does the forward, it doesn't do the reverse. So we want to do the reverse here. And in doing the reverse, this is what you do. Okay, you have to right click on the reverse. Can minimize this guy. Right click it, or when you double click here and it opens here, this is it. Let's see if this is new. It says new record. Just right click it here and come to new zone. Right click the folder, come to new zone, go to the next key. It's a primary one, hit on the next key again, hit on the next. IP version 4. And it says enter the network ID. What is the network IP that we are using? So you all know it was 192.168.1. Yeah, so you see it is doing the reverse for us. Hit on the next key again, hit on next, and finish. When you're done, it has created. So you double click it here, but you would have to map it. So when you double click the folder here, right click it again and go to new PTR. You need to point it to the IP. So if you enter the IP, it gives us the domain. If you enter the domain, it gives us what the IP. So we click on new pointer here and you go and browse. So hit on browse. You can see the server. You can move this to the side. This is the server. Double click it, the forward. Double click it again. Then the second one, which is run, and double click it. Scroll down and look for the IP, the server IP. This is the one. This is it. So click on it. IP, this for the IP version 4. Just click on the server here, or you can just double click. You can click once and come and click OK, or just double click here and then click OK. Okay, yeah, so we are done with the DNS. So anything on the network can check the IP out and it will get the domain. You check the domain, you get the IP. All right, so let's try it out. So I'm going to hit the same thing. So NS look up the, yeah, so we are getting the IP. Now let's NS look up the IP. As you can see, now we've NS look up the IP and it even has what? That's our name. So we are done with the DNS. Now let's configure the DHCP. Okay, the DHCP is the IPs that you want to be given out on the network, but already our PF Sense is giving out IP. That is our router. So let's first disable it. Let's first disable, because you can't have two DHCPs on one network. So this is the server. Since our server is on the same network as the router, we can enter it even with DHCP disabled, because we have a static IP that is in the same network as the router. So yeah, go to advanced, you can continue. So admin and then PF Sense, but make sure you change the password of the routers. The default one, make sure you change them. Okay, because I'm connected to the internet. So I come to services here and I come to DHCP server. Okay, it says enable DHCP. So I'm going to click here, scroll down here, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and then hit on save. All right, so once you save, because you're on the same, we have a static IP, it will still work. Okay, it will still work. All right, but it is no longer giving out IPs. Okay, so let's check if you are still getting IP from the Windows 8.1. Okay, so let's check the network adapter. Let's release and renew. All right, IP config /release. Okay, then IP config again /renew. Let's see. It's taking a while. Okay, so we don't want to wait for it. You can just come right click on the network adapter and go and check, or just disable and enable your network adapter. So from here, click on it, come to details. You see, we are getting our paper. That means that we are actually connected. We are connected. The only thing is that we are not getting an IP from the router because DHCP has been disabled. So we need to configure it in a way that the The router is not giving out IP, so the DHCP will give out IPs. Okay, but if you want to move out on your domain local, then now you go to the router to get internet connection. So let me just cancel it, come back here, hit on IP config again. Yeah, as you can see, we are getting our paper 169. Let's disable the dual stack function. All right, we don't want to be getting IP version 6, so come here. No IP version 6. You can just leave it. All right, so come here, scroll up, IP config. Okay, a paper. So anytime you're getting a paper, it means DHCP is disabled or we don't have a DHCP server on the network. Then you are connected anyway, but you don't have it. Okay. So now the server, we have to configure DHCP. How do we configure that? You click on DHCP, come here, click on the IP, and go to DHCP manager. Okay. Once you're on DHCP manager, bring this guy here a little further. Okay, great. We click this guy here, and IP version 4 and IP version 6 is disabled. We are working on with IP version 4, so just click the IP version 4, right click it, go to new scope. A scope is the set of IPs that you want to be given out on the network. Okay, hit on next. The name, it says type a name description for this scope. This will help you identify. Okay, so I'm going to say admin, yeah, let's say HQ, yeah, DHCP HQ. It's on the next key again. The starting IP. What is the starting? What IP do I want my DHCP to start giving out? So on the network 192.168, which is the network .1, but I want it to start giving out IPs from. Let's say I want it to start giving out IPs from 150. So the first IP that the DHCP server will give will be 150, and the next to the end. So this is the scope, the range. 192.168.1 dot, let's say I wanted to do to give up to 200. So the total IPs here will be 51. Okay, so the subnet mask 25255, that is the length /24. Hit on the next key. Exclusion. Okay, exclusion are IP address range of the that are not distributed by the server. A delay. All right, so they all make sense. If you want some IPs to be excluded, you can click them here. Okay. Okay, this is the maximum time an IP will stay with a user before it leaves. All right, so 8 days. I'm going to leave it on default. Configure. Next. What is the router's IP on the network, which is 192.168.1.1? If you have 3 or 4 routers, you want to add all of them up. Hit on the next key. DNS, yes, this is the server is giving out DNS. Hit on the next key again. Win servers, no longer using Win servers. You just on BIOS, click on the next key, click on the next key again, and we hit on what? Finish. Exclusions. Exclusion IPs means those IPs will not be given out. Okay. So they are excluded on the network. All right. So that IP could be statically given to some other devices, maybe a printer or anything. Okay. So I hit on next. So we are done with the DHCP. So let's go and check if our Windows 8 is getting an IP. I'll come here. So CMD. Let me just pin this to taskbar. All right, come back here. IP config. Okay, still our paper, right? So when you are done, we need to, you see it's ready here. We have to make sure it's working by right clicking it. Right click this side, sorry. Right click on the server itself and go to authorize. It will take a while, so a few seconds, and then it turns green. Okay, we are not going to deal with IP version 6, so maybe you can just disable it or delete this. Let's see. Admintelecom HQ. Green up, green up. Okay, authorized. All right, so I'm sure it's working. It's still taking a while to load, but let's go and release and renew and see if you're getting an IP. I'll come back here, guys. IP config. So let's release and renew. And then we renew. Take a while. While this is trying to get an IP from the server, you can just do a quick one by coming here. Oh, you see? So you see what? So it's actually telling us that we are connected to admintelecom.local. That means we are connected to the public. So from here, you can check an IP. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the DNS, and it is telling us that you see, because we gave it the first IP was 150, so it is giving us an IP. So now, even though the server is giving out IP, we are sure of an IP, and we can still use this to enter the router because the router is what we use in going outside. Yeah, voila, it's working. Okay, so yeah, Admintelecom, this is the DHCP. So any single thing that is connected here will be getting an IP from the server. Okay, so let me try to power my Windows 7 and let's see if my system is not going to freeze. Then we'll see if it is getting an IP from there. Okay, so fatal, that's fine. Okay, I want to do a quick one. It's boarding. Let's wait for it to boot. See if it doesn't freeze. Don't freeze, please, 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 please. Awesome, so it didn't freeze. CMD, enter IP config, see the IP I get. Okay, so it can see the DNS, but you see that means that my network adapter is not on internal. So let me go and check the network adapter. Okay, the Windows 7, come to change and put this on the network. Okay, so I change this and I put this on internal. That's the only way I'll get an IP from there. So come back here. And then I can release, oh, it's even popping up. Yeah, work network. Yeah, Admintelecom.local. Works great. It's an IP config again. As you can see, the first one was 150, the second one is 152. If you don't want to be receiving an IP version 6, all you have to do is just go and disable it. Okay. ncpa.cpl will take you to the network interface. So right click it, go to properties. I don't want to be receiving IP version 6. I just want to use this. IP config. Yeah, so I'm getting it. Okay. The last thing that we'll be talking about here is configuring the Active Directory. Okay. As you can see, by default, it gives us Windows will give us, how do you call it? A first username as server. Okay. But on the field, if you have IT persons around, you'd want to create usernames and passwords for them. And when they enter, then they will change it. If they have 3 or 4 IT guys, you just create it. And all the people that are going to be that are going to be on the network, you need to create a username and password for the person. Okay. If the company employs a new person, they are going to call you and tell you there's a new person, create a username and password for you, or create an account for you. This is where you create the accounts. All right. Okay. One second. Let me just do this real quick. Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So with the ADDS, right click it and come to Active Directory Users and Computers because we want to create computers. We want to create users on a network. You see the server that is here? Double click it. If you double click it and you come to users, you actually see there's a lot of users inside here, or there's actually one user here. There's a lot of security policies that you can apply to domain. You can see guest is disabled by default. We have domain admins, you have domain computers, you have all these are security policies that you can associate with every single user. Okay, but for the purpose of this, we are just going to create administrative users and we'll create normal users. Okay, if someone is employed in a company and there's a domain controller, you would want to create a normal user, and the normal user doesn't have a lot of functionalities. For instance, he can't do installation, he can't do all those stuff. Anytime he wants to install applications, it will request that he contacts the network administrator, and then you just go and make sure he's installing the right application. Okay, so this is the main administrator, and if there are about 4 or 3 of the IT guys around, this administrator will not be used. As a matter of fact, when we're done with this, we usually disable them. Okay, and then use the ones that they've given us. Okay, so I'm going to create 2 users, 2 IT users who have full control of the PC on the network. They can remote into the server, do whatever they want to do, assist clients, okay, on the network. Okay, so if I want all the policies, all the membership that comes with an administrator has absolute privileges on the network. I hope you get it. One second. Okay, so let's continue. So I'll create, if the administrator have active, he has everything. He can create users, he can delete, he can do whatever he wants to do with users, and he can join users to a particular membership. Okay, so if I'm the new IT person around, what I'll do is that the main administrator will create a user out of the main admin, okay, so that he enjoys, or he or she inherits the how do you call it, the membership that comes with what administrator, because the IT person basically has to know server administration, so he should be able to create users, he should be able to do all those nice stuff. So let's say Alfred Amua is the new IT person around. So what I will do is that I'll just come here and come to copy. So it means I'm copying everything that comes with what, the administrator. I just hit on copy here. Then Alfred's first name is Alfred. His last name is Amwa. H. You can put the initials if you want to. Okay. Then now, what is the username that you use to sign in into the network? I hope you get it. If he wants to use the server, I will not give him the main administrative this information. I'll just create a user out of him. So if something happens or he creates something, I can check the system and know that Alfred is the one that caused it. I hope you get it. So what we usually do is that you can actually have a naming conversion where you say you initialize you use the first letter of every single person's name, and then you bring a hyphen or you bring a full stop plus his last name. Okay, that's all up to you. So I'm going to use A dot Amoa. He's an IT person. So A dot Amoa, I go to next. And since he's an IT person, you would want him to enjoy this privilege. His password will never expire. But of course, if he's he's sacked or anything, or if he leaves the company, then you go and disable his account or maybe disable it. Okay. But if you want Alfred, so when you set the password, you give it to Alfred. But if you want Alfred to change his password when he logs in, then now you come and click user must do what? Change password at next logon. So I'll just check this and come to user must change this. So when Alfred signs in with the password that I've given, it will request that he changes his password. But I'm not going to do that. Okay, so just come here. It says user cannot change password. If you want the user not to change the password, to use the password that you've asked him, you can check this one. All right, so I'm just going to leave this and I'm going to enter password. Hit on the next one. Okay, it says the password did not match. Next, okay, it worked. So you use a.amoa and then the password to sign in. Okay, so you realize anytime I create a user, it becomes part of this. This is also another thing that you don't want to have. Okay, so you want to create what you call OUs, organizational units, so that they are you have everything in an orderly manner, arranged nicely. Okay, so this is how to go about it. First of all, you create an organizational unit by clicking here. Click on the main Admintelecom, come to new, then you go to organizational unit, then you give it a name. If you want the IT person or the administrator to be able to delete, but if you don't want accidental deletion, you just check this one. You can still delete, but even if this is checked, but you have to find a way in deleting it. There's a way in deleting it if this is checked. All right, so what I'll do is that it's Admintelecom, so I'll enter Admintelecom here, Admintelecom company here as the main OU. Then, so where is Admintelecom OU? Okay, so you can see Admintelecom OU is here. Then now the department, I'll right click the folder called the OU called Admintelecom, and then come to create a new OU again, organizational unit. Then I'll name it using the department we have at Admintelecom. So let's say you have IT department, IT department, IT department. Then I OK it. So you can see it here, right? Then I click on the Admintelecom again and come and create another OU. Let's say there's accounts department. Click OK. There is project, so I click on here again and I come to project department. All right, so in creating the users, you prefer to create the users inside this OU. And when we are applying policies, you apply policies to the OUs. So if I have users inside this OU and I apply the policy, it means it will affect every single person inside this department. Okay, the same with projects, the same with IT. So the main one, if we should check the users out here, Alfred, that account you created, this is Alfred. We don't want it to be messed up this way. So now I'll drag and drop Alfred inside the organizational unit called IT. Go to yes. Okay, so Alfred is an IT person. Okay, so again, if there is a new IT person, I will not be telling him to use Alfred's detail. All I'll do is that just create an account for him. And since Alfred is an administrator and I want the new IT person to inherit the membership of Alfred, all the privileges, what I'll do is I'll just come here, right click it and go to a copy. Then I'll create a user out of him. So I'm going to use Farouk as the new IT person. So Umar, then I come into Farouk. So again, initial of his first and his last. So Farouk. Hit on next. And password never expires. If I want him to change the password at next logon, I just come here. Okay, you can read it. It says if a user is checked, you must not change password. No. Because you basically have access to all of this. Okay, so I'm going to create this. 1, 2, 3. Make sure you have the password documented. So you can see I've created 2 of this and they are all the same. So if I create another person out of this, it means you inherit the features of Farouk and Alfred, because Alfred has the same membership as Farouk. And Alfred has the same membership as administrator. Administrator has the same membership as this and this. Okay. So the next, accounts are usually, well, you don't want to create a user of Alfred and put him in accounts, because an accountant shouldn't be able to remote into the server. He doesn't even care what goes on in the server. All he'll be doing is using his PC, the PC that is joined to the domain controller, to work. Okay, so usually you don't give them special privileges unless they want it, and if they want it, all they have to do is what? Send an email. Okay, so account here, what you do is I'll create a normal user for the account. So I right click it here, I come to new, just a new user. I'm not creating anything out of, so it is just a new user. And let's call, let's say Wanda is in the accounts department. He doesn't need special privileges. Wanda have. So w.heve, it's on the next. And as you can see here, because by default every month users are expected to change their password because of security reasons, but you can still go inside and change that. Some of the companies every 3 weeks or 2 weeks it's required that they change their password. If I leave this, but mostly you check this, user must change password. You give him a password, let's say Kojo123, and when he logs in, it will tell him to change the password to meet what he can use, but it should still meet the complexity. I mean, it should be that strong. So let's say I give him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then when he logs in, the system will tell him, oh, now reset your password or use your own password. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it like this so that we see what is going on. All right, so and that's it. Then I'll create a last user. Projects too, they don't need special privileges. There's a new project person, user, and his name is Richmond. So Richmond Anado is here. R.addo. Next. So here I'm going to, you see, user cannot change the password. Again, if I create an account for Richmond and I give him a password, he can't change it. The only thing he can do is he will be using the password forever. Okay. All right. So I'm going to hit on this. All right. Let me just hit on disable. Even though the account is created, I'm going to disable it and we see what we get. So I'm going to still use this. Come back. Okay. So now we've created the account. So if there's a new user, you can create a department and then you put him inside. But if it's an IT person, he'll be troubleshooting finding solutions. So you want to create an administrative account for the person. Okay, so I've created 4 users. So now we need to join the PC because these guys are all IT persons. If you don't want them to use the main administrator, you can equally come here and just disable it. Disable means no one can use that account. So this is disabled, and maybe you can run and put this here too as well. So if I come here, you can see this is disabled. Okay, this is a built-in account, so no one can use the administrative account. If you are logging in and you are IT person, you have to log in using your details. All right, so now we are done with the server. So the next thing that we need to do is to join the PC to a domain. Okay, so this Windows 8 will be joined, this Windows 7 will be joined, then the users will use their information to log in. So let me come here. I'm just hoping that it doesn't freeze. Okay, so what you do is that if you set up the PCs, you would want to set up a strong password for the PC. This account, no one is going to use the account. Okay, so I just come here, right click here, go to properties, right click this PC, go to properties. Yes, and then the computer name, depending on the number of computers they have there, you would want to have a nice naming convention for the computers too. So if it's Admintelecom, maybe you can call the first computer ATA1, the next computer ATA2, the next computer ATA3 in that particular order. So I'm going to change this, since it is Admintelecom, I'm going to call it ATA1. Okay, it's a laptop, so I'm going to add L, then I'm going to put .01. It's going to work. Then the domain, I click on domain here, then I enter the domain admintelecom.local. Okay, once I have .local, I hit enter. All right, but before that, you need to give this PC a password. I didn't give it a password. Just come here, go to account, and then give it a password, a strong password. I'll pick it. Give it a password. If you can't give a strong password, you can just go online. What are they supposed to say? You can just go online and look out for a password generator. Just generate some nice password for you. Switch the apps. Okay. Don't freeze on me, please. So much more. So come here. No ways. No ways. Don't freeze on me. Okay. Okay, it wants to freeze on me, so let's try using this part, see if it works. Just go to passwordgenerator.com, generate a nice password, okay? Password generate. There are a lot of sites that generate password. So if you can't create a strong password, just come to there and let's just generate. And then use it to set up all the PCs, okay? Those passwords are not going to be used. The users are going to use their username and accounts. So we come to password generate. Okay, it depends on how strong you want the password to as well. All right, so you can check all of this and then the password length. So I come here and I hit on generate, as you can see. So you can use this to set up the passwords. You can generate any nice one. It is very easy for you to hack this apart. It will be difficult for you to guess this password and guess it right. That's why we recommend you generate online. Okay, or you just have something that can help you generate. Okay, so I think my win. All right, so let's leave this guy and come to Windows 7. I hope this thing doesn't freeze. Okay, so once we have this in place, all we have to do is right click this computer if you are using Windows 7. If you are using Windows 8.1 and above, it's this PC. So you come to change. Since this is the second laptop, I'll call it ATA.L02. This is the second laptop. Or maybe I'll just call it ATA.02. Let's just maintain this with 102. So the next laptop will be ATL for laptop 02. It says it cannot contain letters, that's fine. So it means I can use full stops. ATAL02. It's an OK. Okay, I didn't enter the domain. Nope. Come back. Go to change again. We have to restart because of this. We should have clicked the domain and then enter the domain username. Okay, so let me just restart now. Once it's back online, then just join it to the domain. Windows 8.1, see if it's working now. Why did I click on this? My Windows 8.1 is frozen, so I'm just gonna shut it down so that I don't lose all the recording. This is the last part we have to do when we are done. Okay, Sky is up. So what we need to do is just come here, come to right click it, right click, go to properties. Yeah, the name has changed. As you can see, the name has changed here. Go to change. Now let's add the domain. So click on domain, and then we enter the domain, which is admintelecom.local. That's our domain controller. Hit enter. Then it's required that we use an administrative account to join the PC to a domain controller. Okay, and an example of the administrative account we created was this guy here. This is where is this guy? So let's check out some of the administrators. So the administrators, alright, so close this guy. It's up anyways. Right click, go to users, computers. Yeah, so Alfred Amwa is an administrator, Umar Farouk is an IT. So these are our administrative accounts. So what I will do here is to enter a.amwa and then the password. So it means Alfred and Farouk are the guys who can actually join PCs. It says welcome to Admintelecom. Okay, it's okay. From here, close it, and then we can restart. So after restarting, this PC is not a standalone PC. It's joined to what? A domain controller. Okay, so as you can see, this Windows 7 is now joined to a domain controller. So if I should come here and hit the Control or Delete, I go to switch user, then I go to other user. Now I have to use my information, the account that they create for me, to enter the domain. And this is the domain that we have here. This is for Windows 7. That's how it looks. So I think Wanda Harvey was a user. This account was a user, so he can use the PC to log in. Every single account that I've created can use the PC now, and it will only give him the information, the membership in which he belongs to. Okay, so the Wonder's username was w.have, and his password, it says the user's password must be changed because we check user must change the password. So now Wonder has to enter his own new password that he will remember. So right. Yeah, so once it's done, it says password is changed. Then now a welcomes Wonder. creating desktop. Since Wanda is a normal user, he's an accountant, he doesn't have administrative privileges. He can't really do anything. Okay, he can only work with the applications that they have on the network. So let's say maybe he wants to browse, he go to the internet to browse. Let me see. So Bing, there's an older browser. Let's go and see if you can download Google. Search the web, google.com. So let's go to Google and see if you can download the browser. Okay, let's download Mozilla. Okay, so download. It's on this guy here, and then let's download. Run. Okay, run. Let's see. So you see, we tried downloading, and because Wanda is downloading, he's downloaded an application online. He wants to install, and this PC is joined to a domain. It's not allowing him. It will never allow him. So then he will call to continue, type an administrative password, and then click yes. So since he's not an administrator, he has to call someone who is an administrator, the IT person around. He can call Alfred, he can call Farouk, but he can't use his account or any of the normal accounts to enter. So maybe he calls Alfred, then Alfred will come around and use his. Alfred will check and make sure he's not installing any bad software. Okay, so you're trying to install Internet Explorer, Firefox. You should send a mail. Once the mail is approved, then you just allow him. So I'll just come here, do a dot amon, enter the password, Amon's password. It says it's wrong, right? So try the password again. Okay, so once I get the password right, then it's working. Okay, so even though this is Harvest PC that is using, as you can see, Harvest is here, he can't, anything that he wants to do, if he wants to browse, it's going to work. But once you are downloading something on the PC, it's not going to allow you until you ask for permission from the IT people who have the privileges. Or if the IT people allow you, it's equally going to work. Okay. Yeah, so once I have that, I'm going to close this. Close this. It says close tab. Let's close it. So I have Firefox. And with the IP that I'm getting, let's say it says set no. What's going on? Not now. Okay, so you can equally check our IP, cmd IP config. Yeah, this is IP 192.168.151. This is it. And this is the user that we are using. So s.have.com. Okay, so let's say Javier is done, he's going home, or for one reason or the other, he resigns. Once he resigns, all they will do is call the IT guys and tell them that, oh, please disable Javier's account on the network. So Javier leaves, and I'm going to log out from here. And let's say there's a new person that comes around. So inside it, you go to Javier. Where is Javier? Account department, right? he resigned for one reason or the other, or he gets a new job, then they will tell you, no, he's resigned. Don't allow anyone to use his account. So you just come and disable. Yes, disable his account. And then the same PC, let's go and check if you can use the account again. So once you come here, control delete. Harvest username is already there. So all I have to do is just enter his password. Let's say he comes around hanging and then he tries to enter it again. Okay. Let me just log out one more time. Log off. Alright, take a while. Talk to the server. Come back, come back, come back, come back. Control delete, so I enter it. Sometimes it requires a restart. Let's see. Okay, it's taking effect. Your account has been disabled. Please see your system administrator. I hope you can see it. So then now you go and say why, let's say the manager needs him or anything. You've resigned, so why are you here? Why do you want to use our PC? Yeah, so they just talk and tell you, no, it's not me, just go and see the manager. That's it. Or your supervisor. Okay, so let's say Richmond wants to use the same thing. Richmond comes here, Richmond r.adult, and then his password. Okay, Richmond's account is disabled. So you just go into the system, the server, which is this server. You go and check. Richmond is here, it's disabled. Right click it, enable. Once you enable this guy here, and that's it. When Richmond signs in, outdoor Richmond, here's the key. Yeah, preparing a desktop. So the same PC, Richmond is actually not using Harvest information. He's going to use his own information to log in, and anything he does on the PC. Yeah. So once, as you can see, Richmond Adult is here. I hope you get it. So this is all about ADDS, DHCP, and DNS server administration. Okay. So let's say you want to remote into the server. If I know the server's IP, which is 192.168.1.2, if I want to remote to it and I hit enter, it is asking Ado. Let's see if Ado can enter it. Ado's. Okay. Alright, so it says Ado is here. Yes. So it says the connection was denied because the account is not authorized to remote. I hope you get it. But from here, let's say I'm trying to help you out and I want to remote into the server. I will not use your information. I will use my information. And even instead of using the IP, if I know the server name, which was server, I can still use that to remote and use my account. Omar was a user, so I just hit Omar here. U.Farouk was an administrative user. I just hit the password here. And as you can see, that on the same network, even though I'm using Richmond's PC, I can remote into the server and assist him. Let's say his account is disabled or he's having issues. Instead of going all the way to the server room, I can still use his PC and then remote into the server and then assist him. So you can see I have my Windows 7 here and I'm remoting into the server. Okay, let me boot the H.1 again and see if it doesn't freeze. Okay, before I finish, let's wait for the server to open up. Still loading. Okay, so as you can see, the server 2022 is here. Wait for it to finish loading. Okay, so it's up. Oh, still loading. Let's wait for it. So the server 2, because I use Omar Farouk, if I should click here, just look at this. It didn't sign in using administrator, it signed in using Omar Farouk. So whatever I do here, it will be logged using Farouk. So if there's a problem, we just come and do auditing and you realize that no, Omar Farouk is the one that messed it up. So we come to ADDS, right click this guy here. And so the same, everything is there to be changed. So I hit here. As you can see, Admintelecom is here. The users are all inside. Okay. All right. So this is all about the server administration, and you can actually shut the server down because Omar Farouk is equally administrator on the network. Okay. So let me try to power this guy on. If you have any question, please drop it. WhatsApp me, text me, whichever way you want to do it, that will be convenient for you. So server, this is the server, this is my Windows 7. I'm just going to log out from Omar Farouk. This is my Windows 7. No. So sign out. Okay, so I've signed out. I'm now using my Windows 7. So if I want to change, let's say whose account is this? Richmond wants to change the network adapter. He wants to go and disable it. Once he clicks here, let's see. It will ask, it will not even allow him to change it. Okay. He needs an administrative account to do all this. Okay, so let me shut this down. So this PC is now joined to a domain, and even to take it out, once it's joined to a domain, to take it out, this is how you take it out. You go to change again, and you need an administrator. Once you are inside, so I'm going to use AM1. I'm going to use the password. If you want to change, it will require that you click on it here and you need administrator to change it. Okay. All right. So thank you for joining. If you have any question, please text me, WhatsApp me, or call me. Okay. I'm going to shut this down. And then let's see if we can put our Windows 8.1. Okay, so one last thing before we go. The firewall. As you can see, we need 2 network adapters for the firewall, right? If you want the firewall to give out IPs, there's the NAT, right? The first one has to be on. The second one, this internal. If you want it to give IPs to the host, if you want it to give IPs to someone outside your host, that is your PC, what you have to do is that you have to bridge it. Come to bridge adapter. You see, pick the Wi-Fi 6, right? Bridge adapter and select the wireless card in which you want. So if it's Ethernet, it means if you run a cable from your Ethernet adapter on your laptop and you run it to a switch, any person that connects to the switch is going to be getting IPs from the virtual. This PC doesn't have an Ethernet. That's why you can see just Wi-Fi here. But if it was having an Ethernet, all I have to do is just click the Ethernet here. Then now the pfSense here will be giving out IPs to outside the PC. Okay. But if you want it to be giving out IPs to the host, the virtuals here, then you maintain the internal network. Okay, I think our Windows 8.1 is. So let's join this one to a domain. Come here, right click it, come to properties. This was ATA something of ATAL. So I just come here ATAL01 and then the domain again. which is Admintelecom. I want to join this to a domain controller. So local to the server. Once I click this here, it's equally going to ask for a password, a username and password, because only only the domain administrators can join pieces to a domain or take it out from a domain. Okay, so I'm going to use Omar.Farouk and then the password. Yeah, so once it's done, it needs a restart. Says welcome to Admintelecom. That's fine. Close this, restart. So after restarting, now this Windows 8.1 is equally joined to a domain. You need users before they can have access to the PC. Okay. So the last one, if you want your laptop to be working, if you want your your laptop to if you want to change into a router, your laptop, it means that you need two network adapters. First of all, you make the PFSense bootable, then you run it on the main PC or let's say a desktop. But your desktop needs at least two network adapters. One for going out and then one for the local area network. Once you have that, it's going to work fine. All you have to do is just make the software bootable on a pen drive like we do for Windows, and then just format the entire PC. But you need two network adapters. You can go and buy, if you are using a desktop, some of the PCIe's of the PCI and just plug it in. Right. So this guy is done. And again, if you want to install, if you want to enter this, okay, let's just see. Yeah, so you see now it's joined to a domain. Okay, this is not my name. So if I want to enter using my name, I just come here, come to order. Then it says sign in to Admintelecom. So I can use Alfred to enter, I can use Richmond or use a new account. So let's say there's a new employee and he is Isaac Forsen. So I come here, come to the ADDS users. Let's say he's working at the procurement, the project side, project department. So I just come here and create new, or I can create a user out of this guy here, which is Richmond. Come new user. What is his first name? His first name is Isaac. His last name is Forsen. So I'll use I dot, have a nice naming convention. So Isaac.Forsen. Hit next. User must change. So I don't want him to change. So I'll just uncheck this. So admin. Yeah, his account is created. He's a new employee, right? So, and they've given him this PC 8.1. So all you have to do is just click here. The first time it will be here. This is not his account, so he doesn't even know the password. So you just go here, go to other user. He's a new user, then he enters it. So I.Forsen, then the password I gave him, the IT person gave him. Then once he has that, it logs him, it prepares a fresh desktop for Isaac Forsen. Okay, so this is how it works. Whichever organization that you work for, this is the entire process. If they have domain controllers, you go there, there are laptops there, there are desktops there, but they are joined to a domain controller. They create an account for you. This is the process it goes through. Right. So if Forsen is equally not around, or he's been sacked, or he resigns because he's gotten a better offer that pays more, what they will do is that they will call you, the IT person, and say, oh, Forsen has resigned. Please disable his account so that no one can use his account, or he can't even use his account when he comes around. Okay, so if I should click here, you can see the name is Isaac Forsen. Okay, and he's a normal user, so he shouldn't even have the access to installing or deleting. So let's say he tries to disable, he wants to go and change his IP to something. Once he clicks on it, it will say, oh, type in blah 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 blah. Then you contact the administrator, then administrator will tell you why do you want to give yourself a static IP. It's working fine. Okay. All right. So thank you for joining. I hope you are keeping safe. Please feel free to ask me any question, and I'll be glad to answer. Okay. So I'll see you the next time. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.